Ahead with the program, the president of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, Aminu Gwadabe, has stated that the association is seeking the merger of several Bureau de Change operators, not recapitalization of the industry. The recommendation is to help its corporate governance and rules of engagement with the Central Bank of Nigeria. The president of the association, Aminu Gwadabe, joins me now virtually. Good morning, Mr. Gwadabe, and thank you for joining us.
Nancy, and good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. Now, let's get started. I want to know where exactly the news around the review of capital requirements came from. Why do you think that there was the news of recapitalization in the media as opposed to merger, which you mentioned later? Where did that news emanate from?
Well, I think first it has to come with what we call rush media in trying not to get the fact right. Even where the news came from, we did not request for outright recapitalization. We have seen the one, let me start by laying a foundation to completely say that the news trending on the media is not exact, it's misleading, and we want to correct that impression. Secondly, the news came out of reforms. The central bank is looking for several measures of reforms, which we have seen earlier before in 2004. We have seen where the BDC capital was arbitrarily reviewed from 10 million to 35 million, where many of us lost out. Two in 2007 and 2008, we have seen the development of what we call Category A, with a review of capital to 500 million and engaging them with about $1 million weekly as the purpose or the anchor for doing that. Not long ago in 2023, we have seen the unveiling of Cadavra, Flutterwave. So it's all about exclusion. So instead of all of us being excluded and then in line with the regulators and security agencies' challenges of saying the BDCs are so numerous for them to manage. So being proactive and disruptive leadership, we believe there are models that have been practiced, like especially with the banks, where banks were allowed to come together to merge with microfinance banks, with discount houses, stuff like that. So we are advising that instead of an outright review of, say, each BDC capitalization, don't forget the Economic Advisory Committee once advised that BDC should transform to global levels, global standard, even making comparison with the like of Travelers UK. If you should go and look at what Travelers UK capital is, then we believe if it is absolutely declared or imposed, that will go a long way in affecting our survival and inclusion into the market. So we try to address that. And in addressing that, it has some benefit to achieve. One of the benefits is that it will enhance corporate governance. It will help ease supervision. So this is our recommendation. What we're saying during this period, allow the existing BDC that are skillful to come together and form an entity that will serve their requirement of corporate governance, their requirement of digitalization, their requirement of compliance. And on our part, as an association, we believe the Bureau de Change have the most potent, effective pass-through effect when it comes to the transmission mechanism of the IFS Bank. What I mean by pass-through effect and transmission mechanism, over time since 1986, we have seen whereby majors are only on, can I call it a monopolistic structure, where it's not democratized, where it's not centralized. So those measures have proved not to be effective. But we have several KPI, key performance indicators, that make the BDC to be reckoned in terms of first, bridging the gap, in terms of making liquidity in the market. The purpose of the Bureau de change is to bridge the gap, to ensure there is liquidity in the retail market where liquidity is most pervasive. So this is what we are saying. We need corporate governance. Yes, we appreciate, we understand the challenges of the regulators, the security agencies, all over when it comes to ease of supervision. So we have been proactive, we have been disruptive leaders as a stakeholder. The bottom line is as stakeholder, we should not fold our arms. We are the operators, we know where the roof leak, and we know how it can be, in a way, make amendments and achieve greater success.
Okay, Mr. Gwadabe, I've heard your introduction and when you tried to explain it. But my question is, if you say you want to do a merger, generally, wouldn't it come with a capital requirement? What is the criteria for this merger? Because if you take a look, you gave me examples of banks earlier. We also know what happened during banks. Why they also merged was because they needed to come together to form a solid union in terms of also raising capital requirements. So are you saying that let's just merge? Hold on, Mr. Gwadabe, because your current recapitalization money now is 35 million naira, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So if you're saying that let's seek mergers of different BDCs, if let's say 10 will be merging, they are coming together as it were. 35 times 10, that's 350 million, for example. So what will that bring? I hope you understand what I mean.
I'm with you.
Yes, the more you are, the stronger you are. So should we still leave the capital requirement at 35 million naira, for example, for 10 people?
Yeah. You see, we're only talking about relative, not absolute. You see, one of the main objectives of that major, it has been done even before the establishment of the central bank. The central bank was established to make reforms. In the 1950s, we have many banks, even Naira and Kobo banks. So the central bank came to reform them. And like I've said, even with the banks program, first is to reduce the number. We used to have our 120 banks, and during that exercise, they came down to about less than 25 banks in the country. The same thing with microfinance bank. The issue is here, yes, whatever capitalization you set, like I've said, we have seen whereby capitalization has gone up to 500 million without option of merger or consolidation. So that is what we are trying to avoid. And during this period is that no new BDC should be licensed. The existing ones, the skillful ones, should be allowed to form partnership and come with a corporate entity.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but if you are proposing this, if your association is proposing this as the president of APCON, when they come together now, should the recapitalization requirements still be at 35 million naira? I don't know what you are proposing.
Definitely. You see, there are
it should still be 35 million?
We have done it in 2004, whereby the capital was reviewed from 10 million to 35 million. And all the advice the Bureau de change is to go to CAC and upgrade their capital. So 10 BDC as an addendum or as an example coming together can go to CAC. All they need is to collapse those various licenses to form one entity. It has been done. So it's not question of each BDC now bringing 350 million. The capital is even eroded. That is the truth of the matter. Over 25 months, the BDC have not been operational. Yes, some of us are operational. And then, too, we have compliance challenges. You see, when you don't have, now we have a market that is willing buyer, willing seller. And you expect me where I don't have access. Two is even the accessibility. The BDC, as we speak today, they are not allowed to do payment platforms. They are not allowed to access diaspora remittances. They are not allowed to go digital. all these are exclusive products for the BDC. And that's why we call for autonomy, digital autonomy. We all want to align. We all want to be digital. We all want to set corporate governance. We all want to embrace tech. And to buttress this fact, the association have started a journey, even in 2016, 2018, whereby we launched what is called the NigeriaBDCs.com, which is a foreign exchange code platform where you find all our members, if not because of the court cases where, we're being branded like Aboki platform too then. And there was a court matter whereby they said all those...
yeah, because the last time I looked at it, I still have old exchange rates there. Niger,
no.
Yes, Niger, what did you call it now? Niger BDCs.
NigeriaBDCs.com.
Yes. I even checked it this morning. Mr. Gwadabe, I checked it this morning. I checked it this morning and there are still old rates there. I was seeing 400 and something naira.
No. That is not it. A lot of people try to copy us. No, that's not it.
Okay, I can still pull it up here that we're speaking.
When you go to that page, there is a page we have found where it's using NigeriaBDC with no S.com. So please be guided. It's NigeriaBDC.com.
Okay, which one is your NigeriaBDC.com? Is that what you're saying?
With S.
Yeah. Okay, with S. So it's NigeriaBDCs.com. Okay, let's see what will happen, because the one I went to this morning was telling me something else. But if your association is proposing a merger, what is the criteria within your association to merge? And secondly, how many BDCs do we have right now in the country? Because I've actually lost count. The last time I know, over 2,000. I don't know what it is.
That's a regulator's question.
Yeah.
But as far
but you are the president of APCON. Don't you know your members?
As far as I'm concerned, I know I have over 5,600 members that are registered on our platform.
Okay, so what will be the criteria for that merger to happen?
We already have what we recommended as SOPs, standard operational procedures. And these SOPs have to do with transaction monitoring system. What is transaction monitoring system? You should have a system that will be able to make you, one, identify your potential customer. This we do through the integration of the NIPS platform, Nigerian Interbank Settlement System (BVN) platform, where a Bureau change can go and verify, validate, authenticate. You are doing KYC and CDD at the same time to ensure who is your customer. Knowing your customer, very, very important. Two, we have what we call the SaaS masters, where our members go is an automation, business automation process from manual to digital. All our manual records, this sales register. In fact, we thank the CBN. They came with templates where it captures, they call it 217. That 217 template capture the identification of the customer you are going to sell or buy money from. There is what we call the 305 or 315, where you have the documentation of the customer. We have the 315, where at a glance, as a bureau de change, you can see what is your opening and closing balance of your fingers. Also, the association have ensured our members are on the NFIU platform for sending suspicious and cash transaction reforms. These platforms are known as GoAML and nil return. It enables our members to send what we call suspicious and transactions return. Also, our members are on other platforms for PEP, politically exposed persons, then wanted persons, declare wanted person. No long ago, the federal government through the NIPCOM committee, what they call it, if I can remember, it's a platform that enables bureau de change operators in financial institutions to make sure they are going to see PEP, they are going to see who is wanted person, like terrorist list, and what have you. So members are on that platform to ensure there is compliance with anti-money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation of weapons of mass destruction.
Okay. Mr. Gwadabe, how do you intend to maximize technology? Because it seems that the fintech guys are giving your association a run for its money right now.
First, we are sensitizing our members. Number one, don't forget we call for autonomy of digitalization. Because what we have seen is always exclusiveness. Like I've said, we have seen an unveiling where only one of our member, Cadavra BDC, is now into partnership with Flutterwave to ride on their platform. Let it be open, let it be centralized, let it be democratized for all BDC change to be on part of that platform.
Okay, then the next question is, what do you think will be the role of BDCs as the president of the association moving forward in terms of forex supply, foreign exchange management? Because sometimes people in your sector are being, you know, fingered in terms of, yeah, is this stigmatization, or even blamed that some of your members are responsible also for where the naira is today in terms of speculation or speculatory activities and what have you? And how do you also intend to weed out perhaps the informal people, because your association is formal? There are a lot of informal people also playing in that sector. Yes, unlicensed people. When you come to Abuja here, you see them everywhere. So how do you intend to weed them out? And how do you also intend to convince the Central Bank of Nigeria that you know, that you are on board with them in terms of good management of forex?
Well, first, let me start with them. Talking about them is what I would advise: don't throw the baby and the bathwater, because every Nigerian, one out of every Nigerian patronize them, which is key. I'm not talking on their behalf because I'm a licensed juridic change, but I want to start responding to some of your questions because we raise their own activity. We have given recommendation. It's all about capturing their transaction. It's like if Federal Inland Revenue now want to generate what we call revenue, they want everybody to be on the nest, inside the nest. So make all of them inside the nest. Technology are providing opportunity. Make platforms that are easier and simple for them to operate, whereby they can capture the data of their customer, the amount they do, and their own data too, that they are undertaking the transaction. That is an information going forward, at least to capture them inside the nest, so that, you see, always we underrate, we underestimate the volumes that go in that so-called parallel market or black market sector of the market. It can be huge. In fact, the worst of it, that rate in the market, like you said, is even the anchor rate. If you are talking about licensed bureau de change in Nigeria that are only about 6,000 licenses, how about even the ones that are not licensed? You are talking about 1 million that are not licensed. Two, you have talked about the fintech companies. Look at Binance. Binance have transaction inflow of about 1.2 million transactions per second. They do $4 billion in a day as a turnover. These are fintech transactions that the central bank, the banks, and even the bureau de change are not capturing it. So let's go back to where it is being practiced. Take India, for example. India command about $40 billion annually through diaspora remittances, because we are talking of sources. We have 4 or 5 major sources. One is the crude oil. I heard you where you have given a comprehensive analysis where even the production and the revenue are mismatching. So it's a problem, which is one of the major.
Oh, okay, it seems we've lost connection there with Mr. Gwadabe, talking there about the BDC's proposal for a merger. So I guess you heard him. It's not about recapitalization, but for the close to 6,000 BDCs that in his association to come together to merge. I don't know if we can still get him back, but if not, let's quickly take a break. And when we return, we'll continue with the program. Do stay.